The defensive line. You saw it in person, up close. What was your impression?
Defensive lineman?
Yeah.
Name that keeps, obviously, nobody even needs to really talk about. Nick Bosa is, it looks like he's in the best shape of his life.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a problem. Anybody that's anybody, you get him in front of a microphone, it seems like all they want to talk about is just like, I don't want to block this guy. So we know that. Kimoco Toure is a name that came up on Friday. Didn't get him in my winners on Friday. I wanted to. Granted, you got to take it with a grain of salt because it's against sometimes 2s, 3s, and 4s, right? But here's a guy who is been a situational pass rusher, came out of Rutgers as a incredible athlete, still an incredible athlete, and he's showing power. He's showing technique. He is consistently getting the quarterback. He would have had at least 2 sacks today. And
I want to just think about Kimoco real quick because I've been tough on him. He struggles in the one-on-ones because he doesn't bend very well. But what we saw in the preseason game is he's a really good run defender. He's a lot like Ebukam. He's really strong for a guy who's 255. He will run. He will make plays from the backside, running all the way across the field. So he can make the team just based on run defense. But he's also very powerful for a guy who doesn't. I mean, Ebukam doesn't bend either, but he's got second effort. He's strong. He's relentless. Kimoko's a good player.
No, and I remember that play against the Packers where he shot inside and basically on his back, shouldered 2 offensive linemen, pushing them back and didn't end up getting the tackle itself, but allowed other guys to do it. And that's the kind of thing that's impressive. If you've got a guy that is maybe, build his paychecks on being a pass rusher that's able to do that. Kyle likes that. Kyle wants that. Other guys along the line, I thought Drake Jackson got in there a couple times. There's been a little bit of a ding on him for how he's been doing a run on camp. I haven't been there at camp to see that. I thought before he had that shoulder, that's another thing. I totally forgot about it. He had that shoulder stinger, or I think it was not even quite that bad. So to have him out in full pads going today, rotating in with the ones, that's encouraging, by the way. So that I think defensive line, and then it's just in waves. Omenihue. I wasn't watching Hyder as much. I'm gonna look a little bit about that tomorrow. But
Hyder's the one-on-one god. He's so good at that. That's how he keeps himself employed. Just watch him in the one-on-one drills.
And that's great. And I know Hyder had a lot of cleanup sacks that year before he went to Seattle, and
he's crafty.
Yeah. Crafty. So defensive line is great. I thought the linebacking core in drills and coverage, that's one thing where I think a lot of people are saying it's the consensus that Aziz and Fred and Dre Greenlaw make up, comprise one of, if not the best linebacking core in the NFL. And in coverage, closing ground. I thought Dre Greenlaw did a good job today in that regard. I thought in drills, Aziz made some good PBUs. So if Jimmy Ward is out, it's going to be paramount to have those linebackers being reliable in coverage. And then also it was hard to see with Charvarius Ward and Emmanuel Mosley not playing today and Jimmy Ward out. It's hard to evaluate your secondary when you're doing that.
Hard to impossible. California Bear says Jimmy is garbage. He benefited from a good team. He never took accountability for being garbage. All he did was smile and say, we have to do better. Well, that's true. He never went in front of the camera and was like, I'm garbage. He should have.
Let me tell you a quick story, California Bear. I'm walking out of training camp today, and there were some fans in Niners gear, and it was like this elementary school teacher explaining to Vikings fans about who Jimmy Garoppolo was for the first time. And she was like, well, we don't really like him, but he's hot. And I was just like, I have a tendency sometimes to be blunt, and I just walked away. So
that's funny. But it's so true. Matt H says, is Jason Poe better than Banks? Well, I'm curious. In the one-on-one drills, he is, but that's not real football. So let's give Banks a chance. I'm not writing off Banks yet. Banks is he's like 2 Jason Poes. So
and in drills, like you said, man, it's like going to the Senior Bowl and everybody's these drills, and people think football is not
right.
I mean, there are one-on-one situations. I mean, I think you're on the edge. That's a little bit different. Inside, it's you're playing as a unit. You're at different levels. It's not always that. Now you can't lose.
That being said, though, if Aaron Banks can't anchor and he's going up against Aaron Donald or whomever, it's gonna show. So Banks, we'll see.